It's the Eater of Worlds, Galactus, and me, I'm Gazbot. Where am I? I'm at the Comics Center in San Francisco for San Francisco Comic-Con 2017. Let's find out what's happening. Always good to start with a nice breakfast here at IHOP on the way to load up in San Francisco. Good. These signs lead me to believe we are in the correct area. Today we just got here. Kevin is unloading this pallet. Last year, if you remember, I had a big problem with that. This year, they included it in the price. They unloaded the car, put it on a pallet, drove it over here, so we actually got our money's worth. But these tables are supposed to be 8 feet long, and they're only 5 feet long. So, yes, 6 feet long. Sorry, incorrect measurement. About 30 minutes in, we've discovered that likely not only are these tables a little narrow and 6 foot instead of 8 foot, but we suspect that this is an 8 by 8 as opposed to a 10 by 10, which was advertised. Can't prove it just yet, but we're trying. Neither of us have ever done a booth like this before. I brought a 6 foot table that I've put in back and put my own covering on. And we've moved these to create sort of a store atmosphere. Kevin, innovatively, is putting a pegboard on his cubes. Innovatively, that's whatever. And I'm not sure. It's a word. I've built cubes. I'm not sure what I'm doing because there's this alleyway side, so I feel like I need to put things here, but I don't want to block myself off. I'm also bringing the Horror A4 standee tomorrow, which I was going to put in that corner. Don't think it'll fit, so I'm thinking of putting it on that table, but we'll be able to take pictures with it, so maybe I'll put it here. I don't know. I'm just building cubes at this point. Hey again, it's been about an hour now. As you can see, Kevin's got his pegboard going. I have decided to put my cubes here. You can't really see them because they're in front of the black. A taller cube here, and then I've zip tied a wall here to kind of make a contiguous area. Don't know how well that'll work exactly. Then I plan on having the horror, comics, sketching, that kind of stuff here, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about the standee. Maybe put it there, maybe put it there. But as you can tell, setup's going slower than usual because we're reinventing the wheel a little bit. I am excited about having more room. Even with Kevin, I have more room than I normally would. And but I'm really thirsty, so I'm gonna go see if I can try to find a drink out front right now, because we didn't bring bottled water or anything like we should have. Like we will tomorrow. Classic arcade setup. I likely won't be able to play that very often tomorrow or today or ever. Well, it's been almost 2 hours and it looks like we're almost done, but I think we both have a lot of fiddling and finagling to do. This is a new setup for both of us. Again, we made this U, and I have sort of connected the two walls, and then not only that, but when I put up these turtles, this is flat, but this one I had to kind of bend and mark on the sides. Yeah, it's an all new world, guys. A whole new world, a brand new fantastic going down, flying on a carpet cloud, way so loud. The monkey had a fez, Kevin. What'd you say? It's been about 2.5 hours, 2:45 now, and we're getting close to being done. All the major structures are set up, and I actually took some down that I had here because it was extra that I didn't need. I've actually, for the first, well, not the first time, but I usually don't put up original art, but I put up 2 pieces, and I'm gonna have my original art folder that if people ask me, I'll show it to them. Otherwise, it's gonna be put away. And my front is coming, my front is coming together. It's a little messy right this second, but you can see I'm gonna have pins here. I'm gonna have the horror, the standee is gonna be here. So this is gonna be like the little horror station. And then hopefully right here I'll have enough room to draw. And then the print box will be under here, and then this will be people to flip through, and there'll be like 4 inches of empty space. So yeah. So just under 3 hours. It's probably actually about 3 hours plus, considering we had to drop stuff off at the loading dock and wait for it to come up. And we have it all together, which is not too bad considering it normally takes 1.5 hours to 2 hours for a setup that I've done 1,000,000 times. So you can see we did a good job utilizing the space to create kind of a store atmosphere. And used most of the space for things, right? And then I have a seat here in case I'm gonna draw some commissions. Kevin won't be doing any commissions, so he has a seat there if he needs to relax. And then, as I said, I tried to set it up over here. It looks kind of bland right now, so hopefully once that horror goes there, watch, then it'll be working. Good goes. And now we're gonna head back home to, well, maybe traffic. I don't know, maybe traffic. And I am leaving the Comics Center. You can see the different rows. Still a lot of people not set up. I guess a lot of people come tomorrow. That's what I did last year. If you don't have much, you know, just a quick dolly of art supplies or whatever. Cool Doctor Strange poster they're giving away. Maybe I'll see if I can take one of those. Bingo! Now it's Friday morning. Friday morning, the show starts at 12. It's just before 10. It's about an hour drive. Hopefully we have time to get in and get breakfast first. There's someone at my door. So that doorbell ring was Gazbot. That guy. Because he needed to get his print, he made some extra prints, he needed to get them cut. My paper cutter didn't fit. He ran to Kinko's in the morning, got that done, banged it out like what? A professional. Now we're in the city. We got here with no traffic. It's the quickest I've ever gotten in the city. It was like 38 minutes. We're sitting at Mel's Diner. We're already parked. Got the horror standee having breakfast with us, and we're going to be in the show floor with plenty of time to go. So I think the show's going to suck, and I'm nervous, and I want to go home. Let's go! All right, back in the center. It is 11:27, and of course everything is mostly set up. Brought Copics this time. Kevin has his portfolio print book that people could look through that he was working on last night at home. And I, of course, have the stand-up, which I'm now going to put up. Breakfast. Breakfast was quick. We went to Mel's Diner, which I recommend because it's close, and the food came out super fast. It's a bit expensive. Mediocre food, but very fast. So there's that. I'm going to set up this, and we're going to go. Actually, look. Over there, some cool lighting. I don't know what it is, but it caught my eye, so good job, them. So this is the other side of the booth. I had thought that the tower would have extra prints on this side, but when I built it up taller, it didn't really make sense. I wanted to have the standee up front somewhere, but I realized that blocks everything off, and really just having it on the side like this is the best, and people can take pictures with it if they want. I wish I had something like hashtag Horror A4, but I don't. And then over here is my little Horror A4 section, where I have the print, the comic, a demo comic, the stickers and everything next to these buttons. And I often am like, oh, you like these buttons? These are included too, even though they're just horror buttons. And then I got this for my Copics. I'll draw there if I have to. And then you come around and you can see my stuff, Kevin's stuff. You come around this way, Kevin's stuff. You come around this way, Neenerbot, and hopefully something that'll cover up our ugly butt over here. Yeah, so we're pretty much ready to go. Kevin's doing some stuff. I probably should bag some things too. Maybe I'll bag some things too. I brought this from home. This is the commission I had of Donatello. I also have the Michelangelo under it, as well as the print versions. And I'm going to throw in this Raphael, which they had already bought, but this one has the border that matches the rest of the set, so I'm going to give them that one too. I was going to mail these, but they're coming to the show today, so I will put them over here. They get them right away, and I don't have to mail them. Everybody wins. Last night I went to Force Friday, so I did not get a great night's sleep, but I did get some Star Wars toys after a harrowing adventure. If you're curious about that, I have another video about Force Friday. You can check that out below. Not going to deal with that anymore here. Getting back to the show. It's 12:03. They've opened up. People are in. It's a pretty good turnout for a Friday at 12. Obviously no sales yet. Nothing's happened. A few people come up to say hello. Friends that we've met in previous. I think a person or two might have taken a picture of this, but I'm not sure, and I didn't want to bother them while they were doing it. Kind of like capturing a hummingbird. You have to do it carefully. You know, capturing a hummingbird. That old classic thing people say. Anyway, moving on.
So here I am with a picture with Steve Amell, who plays Arrow on CW, and I took a couple pictures. There's a lot of cosplay, especially for a Friday. I said pictures, but I meant video. Here's that light-up display booth, and then there's other... I'm sorry for the bad camera work, by the way. This is me just walking around holding my camera in front of me, because I didn't want to specifically be pointing it at anybody. I was just trying to get the whole floor. And there was an artist that I've seen at other shows that has one of those towers of prints that goes up, you know, 500 feet into the sky, and they need a double-decker ladder to put it up, probably. I noticed there was a lot more artists this year. I would say an estimate would be about 75% artists versus comic sellers, toy sellers, other sorts of vendors. And Artist Alley had sold out, so it's weird. I wonder if there were less Artist Alley tables, and that's why a lot of artists bought exhibitor booths, as I did, or if they made less Artist Alley tables because they realized most people were artists that were coming. I'm not really sure, but I did have time to walk around, because it wasn't terribly busy. I mean, again, for Friday during the day, it was okay, but that's still kind of slow. And because I had Kevin there that could watch the booth for me, so we kind of took turns walking around. I didn't see a ton I wanted to buy. There was a couple cool pieces of art, but luckily not, you know, a lot of toys or anything else that usually grabs me. Not a ton of independent comics. There was a few, but mostly people selling prints, you know, which is the usual for most cons. And actually over here, you can see there's more toys and plush, but as I said, for the most part, yeah, maybe I'm overestimating 75%, but definitely a higher percentage of independent artists than you normally see. And they had some famous artists too, like Neil Adams and Art Adams and anybody with the last name Adams. Now, those are just the two that came to mind, but there were others there as well. And I'm not counting them. Up front there, you can see they had some props. I'm not sure if they were from the DC. It looks like mostly DC, although they had a Lone Ranger too. I'm not sure if they were from the movies or replicas made to look like it, because I didn't actually spend a lot of time over there looking at it and reading the things. But it was kind of neat, and people enjoyed taking pictures with it. You can see it was only partially set up at that point. And once again, sorry, this camera is just zamming around like a jerk. Who taught this guy how to film, right? There's Neil Adams, as I said. He often, whenever I see him, he has like a big area, so I don't know if it's gifted to him or if he just makes enough money that he can afford more, or maybe some combination of the two. I am making wild speculation and guesses there, and there's, you know, more prints and more art, and most of it's fan art, but there was some that was, you know, original concepts or designs or things like that, and like I said, a few comics. But then I headed back to the booth, and I had a Kamen Rider X8 that I had done the pencils of at Japan World Heroes, which is the last show I did, which I have a video of. I'll put a link below. And I decided to ink it up and color it, even though I knew it wouldn't be good for this show. I just felt like, you know, doing a little drawing, and it'd be a good example. There's Kevin, holding the fort down, holding back all the crowds.
You're in the booth when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Update time. We've been here a little under 3 hours, have a little over 4 hours to go. It has picked up. It's quite busy. I've made a few sales, not kicking doors down, but not crying in my busket either. So that's good. I want a cappuccino, but I'm trying to space it out so that it comes roughly in the middle of the day. And I finished up that Kamen Rider X8 picture, which I started at Japan World Heroes. Kevin is a sit man, and that's the situation.
So I went for another walk. I wanted to look at this arcade, and they had some cool classic arcade games. Nothing crazy or rare that I noticed, but just good fun stuff. There was always a bit of a line, not huge lines, but more than I could just casually run over and play one quick game. Especially since I should be at my table. And they were all set to free, which is cool, and there was adults and kids and everybody playing them. But I couldn't figure out what the deal was, because usually when you see these, it's like, oh, we're advertising the retro arcade downtown, or you could buy these, or something like that. And then later I saw there was like a handwritten sign that was like gamesforrent.com, and it was like this sad little table with two people sitting at it, and I'm like, that is the worst advertising I've ever seen. Over here you can see some more crafty art type stuff, which is kind of cool, and that's some sort of death Batman. This guy was looking at this 3D virtual reality thing, which was kind of cool. I saw him all day, all the days that he was there, looking at that, and I don't know what was going on. He wasn't looking at anything, as far as I could tell, that had to do with the con, so he just paid to get in the con, and at first I thought he was advertising at a booth. But, yeah, I don't know. And the reason I have these Pickle Rick pictures coming up is because there's a Pickle Rick cosplayer. Everybody was talking about Pickle Rick. I did this quick sketch. Took me about 5 minutes to get people to come look at the table.
It's 4:45. Got just over 2 hours left. I'm heading back to the booth. I just walked over to the arcade games because Kevin, my booth partner, said he had the second highest score on the Free Missile Command game, and I was going to try to beat it. There's a line. I can't be away from the booth that long. But the day has picked up, and it's been doing good, and I'm working on a commission now anyway, so I shouldn't have been doing that. And now I'm coming back. It's about 5:30, 1.5 hours to go. Day's been going pretty well with sales. I got a pretty fun commission I'm working on, which is combining Kamen Rider and Spider-Man, Spider Rider, or Kamen Spider Kick. Anyway, working on that. Took a quick break to go to the bathroom. Actually played a game of Missile Command for free. It was fun, and Kevin had told me that he got second place, and I should try to beat it. I went, played, got second place, didn't see him first, third, he dropped down to fifth, so, you know, I beat him by a whole lot. Anyway, bye.
So the commission was a really fun one. It was to do Spider-Man as a Kamen Rider type hero, and luckily I had a Spider-Man sketch cover because the gentleman didn't, and I was shocked I had it. So here's a little progress. I felt like it really came together when I gave him the scarf made of webbing, and then, yeah, there it is. I was happy with it. This is the celebrity area, which was against the back wall. Some of the celebrities don't show up on Friday, which I understand, but you can see there's the voice of Ash from Pokemon, and Summer Glau, and Peter Capaldi, who's Doctor Who, and Stan Lee. No, Stan Lee was not there.
All right, we've got about 20 minutes left. Most, if not all, of the celebrities have left. Not all of them were here today, but the ones that were here have left. I finished my commission, and I did a Pickle Rick sketch just because I wanted to see how many people were like, hey, Pickle Rick, and quite a few people were like, hey, Pickle Rick, I would love it if somebody offered me money for that little goof mess. But overall, not a gangbusters day, but a good day for a Friday. And if Saturday's good and Sunday's better, then I'll have a... What does that mean? If Saturday's good and Sunday's better, then things will be good. No, but slow-ish, but good. And I'm glad I got that commission. So looking forward to tomorrow. Going to close up here shortly and go get Din food. By the way, this is sort of the filing system I've been using rather than having it in cubes. It's not great. I could not find an 11x17 Tupperware. I got this box, which is for like file storage in the office, and then I have each set of prints in a bag separated by these, what do you call these boards? What do you call these boards? Chipboards. But they don't really stick up enough, and they smell kind of funny. And then I put these tags on them that don't really stay on, so I couldn't label them. So it's not a great system, but that's what I have right now at this juncture. And that's it. They just gave the announcement that everybody has to get out. Kevin is trying to rearrange his thing and making all of us nervous that everything is going to break. But we'll deal with that when it breaks. The danger is past, and Kevin has succeeded in moving it down. And if you notice, it's similar to what I did, where it makes a curve, and so it's contiguous. That's the word, contiguous. And tomorrow he can put a little table here to put his print book the way I have mine there. It's not there right now. Look, there's still disco dancing over there, and we're good to go, right?
Yeah.
Kevin's from Sweden. This is a lobby. They just closed the show floor. And there's people taking a couple cosplay pictures, and there's a lot of stuff going on upstairs. I have not been up there yet. I know it's panels, I don't know what else, but we're going home. And funny enough, not funny enough, but good enough, they don't have any programs that are printed. They have an online thing on the app, or it's up over there, and I took a picture of it. Come on, man, what are you waiting for? Jeez, this guy. Anyway, so they've gone paperless, which is good because I usually end up having like a 50-page book that I recycle or throw away. Oh, jeez. You. Oh, I think I knew you. Well done. It's 8/24, day 2, San Francisco Comic-Con 2017, Saturday. Kevin and I are almost ready to go, and Quellen is coming with us today. I may or may not get a picture with Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor. I think I'm going to. And what have I learned from yesterday going into today? Well, a few things. One, I'm glad I took a commission. I'm glad I brought my Copics because I did a color commission, and I was glad to have them. Even if I didn't use the color, I was glad to have the black, and I was glad to have the gray. And actually, I have gotten a second Copic, which I got a while ago, but I forgot, black Copic that is, that I'm going to stop keeping with my Copic set and start keeping with my smaller, just pen and pencil set for even a black and white commission for those heavy blacks. It'll be perfect. I just realized the coffee I'm making, there's no water in the coffee machine, so clearly I'm not awake enough to be making coffee, let alone making this video. So I'll see you later, more at the show. We're back at Mel's. Back on the show floor, it's about 6 minutes after 10, and we did stop at Mel's Diner again. It was not as fast this time. It took closer to a half hour, so we were hustling over here, both to open the booth, and because I did go ahead and bite bullet and buy a Peter Capaldi ticket, went to the wrong area, and because of that, instead of being first, I was like 15th, but I still got it in time to get back to the booth, only a minute or two late, and this gentleman and the lady who I'm married to, named Quellen, also helped open it, so good, and now we're gonna make $1,000. I think it's, yeah, it's busier than it was yesterday. I think that's a safe bet. There's someone over here on the left that has a bunch of Black Series Star Wars figures for very reasonable prices. They have them for $22, which is basically tax, and then they have some of the retro figures for $25 and $30, which again isn't much over retail, including the exclusive. I'm tempted to get that Chewbacca, but I can't tell if it's the same as mine.
It doesn't have the pickle statement to the side.
Oh, so failed. Actually, it's pretty accurate. Pretty good. It's almost like cosplay is more impressive than the sketch I did.
Yeah, I think it took you 30 seconds.
It might have taken me 2 or 3 minutes. Minutes, Kevin. This does seem to be the official cosplay area. Yeah, I don't know if there's more cosplay today or there's more cosplay. Well, there is more cosplay today, but it seems like a lot of it is in this exact area. So Saturday, a few minutes before 12, about 2 hours in, I'm here alone. Kevin's not here right now. Q came in, she's walking around having fun. We had an extra chair out for her that we've since hidden because so many people kept wanting to sit in her chair. So we got rid of it. And the U-shape open thing we've had going, we're not sure it's the best layout. And we're thinking about readjusting mid-show. Kevin has not been doing great. I also have not been doing great today. I'm doing worse today as of now than I was yesterday, even though it's busier. So we're gonna get a 6-foot table. He's at Target next door. And we're gonna put it right here to kind of make a square. And we'll see if, because that seems to be what most other people are doing. It seems like this, we wanted this to be an inviting sort of gallery store, and a lot of people don't want to go into it. So and they also don't seem to realize that we are necessarily the ones running it. When I'm sitting down drawing, then people know this stuff in front of me here is mine. But yeah, I don't know. We're just looking to change it up because, yeah, it's not going amazing. The guy's got a crazy lightsaber mask thing happening. All right, so Kevin went to Target and got another 6-foot table, which we put right here. He also got a tablecloth, which unfortunately they didn't have black, but it's better than a bare table. And so now what we have is sort of a square, which is closer to what everybody else has. And hopefully it's a little bit more obvious that we're running the booth, and it's more obvious, oh, just look here, you don't feel the need to move in or whatever, and obvious, obvious, and obvious. Oh, also, because of this, I now have space to have out my original art book and have it right in front of me where I can keep an eye on it, so there's that. So it's about 2 o'clock Saturday still. It has definitely gotten busier. It was busier from the morning, but it's very, very busy out front and here. A lot more cosplay, a lot of cool ones. I just showed you that Skeksis from Dark Crystal. Sales have picked up. They're not amazing. They're not what I thought they'd be for a Saturday, but they've picked up and we're on track to do at least as well as we did on Friday. But we also have, what, 5 hours to go. I did get a ticket to get a picture of Peter Capaldi. That's in about an hour, so unfortunately I'll be away from the booth for a little bit. But Q is here helping out, and we did get the table and redid things, and it seems to be making a difference. We've got a few more sales, but more importantly, or as importantly, we got a lot more people looking and a lot more people realizing it's a booth that they can look at and that we work at. About 3:15, the day has continued to improve. I don't know if that's just because of the day or because of our new setup, but both Kevin and I are doing better. I had a couple commissions. I had to get one done quick because I'm heading upstairs now for my photo op.
There's the, not the show floor, but the lobby, and here I am going up the escalator. But what's this crazy line? Well, I went upstairs when I should have went downstairs, and now I am almost last on line for Capaldi. It took over an hour. That's the sketch cover I did of Iron Man. They said I could do whatever I want, so I did Silver Centurion. And back to the Capaldi line, you could see almost everyone else is gone. He's on the other side of that. I was going to leave my phone running. They said you could not. And here's a sketch cover I started doing on spec for myself.
Outside of the building, I was trying to hold out until 7 and then go get dinner, but I'm crashing, I'm tired. Q and Kevin are also tired. I'm gonna have to drive, so I'm going over to Starbucks to get us some coffee. All right, my order is in at Starbucks. As you can see, there's some Dragon Ball Z cosplayers behind me. It's gonna be a wait, so I'm out here making a video because it wouldn't become a convention if there wasn't a wait even at Starbucks nearby. What happened today? Well, today has been about as good as yesterday. We got about an hour left, but in terms of sales, about the same. Which is not great, but could be worse. In terms of interest and discussion, has been much better. I got another commission, not as big and fun as the last one, but still a good little Iron Man commission. It's been a good day. I went and saw the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, and I paid more money than I've ever paid for something like that. And I normally don't pay that much. I pay a small amount at the table, or I get lucky enough to meet them or whatever. But I love him, and he's from another country, and I'm already here, and so I did. I got the ticket really easily, but then I should have been close to the front of the line, but I went all around. People told me the wrong way to go, just like being at a real San Diego Comic-Con as an attendee versus an exhibitor, and I ended up being almost literally last in line. So still, even with that, it was only a little over an hour, which wasn't bad. Very pleasant gentleman. I enjoyed meeting him, and I kind of decided going into the meeting, because I had all these ideas about what I want the picture to be, and it's an expensive picture, and I gotta, maybe I'll do a good pose, and then like, you know what? I'm gonna assume the picture is bad. I'm not gonna put a lot on it. I just wanna meet this guy, shake his hand, tell him I like his work, you know, and I did. He was very gracious, very nice. Shook his hand, strong, firm handshake, soft skin. Lovely gentleman, and then he's like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to be an action pose or goofy? I'm like, you know what, you pick. And he's like, well, let's do, I said, you pick. And he's like, well, let's do something, you know, like we see something, but it's not that crazy. And I said, okay. And so he did his thing, and I did my thing. And he says, subtle, I like it. And I left. Then I saw the picture, and I loved it. It looks like a promo shot for the new season of Doctor Who with the new companion, Gaz. And here's that. Yeah. So, overall good day. Q's been here. We got about 45 minutes left, so I'm basically gonna get the coffee, go back in, pack up and go. And the table, the new setup does seem to be working. Kevin's made a few more sales. Again, I'm about the same as I was yesterday, but does seem to be more interest. Also, I'm able to draw at the table, whether it's a commission or just a speculative cover that I'm doing or whatever. It draws interest. People like to look, oh, what are you doing? And it's perfect because he's not drawing and Q's there, so it's the perfect thing of like somebody's drawing, but I don't have to be looking to see what else is coming. Yeah, I don't know. So far, so good. If tomorrow is as good as today, it'll be an okay weekend. Now, the bummer is that last year, this is the most amount of money I ever made at a convention, ever. So I was expecting to do well, and I'm doing okay. So, we'll see. Day 2 Saturday coming to a close. The lights are coming off. They're telling people to leave that haven't left yet. They're telling us to leave within the next 20 minutes, but we're ready to leave now. So, garbage in hand, we walk the walk. Wait, guys, you're not walking the walk with me. Guys, I'm walking the walk. Bye, guys. Bye-bye. So closing time is going. We were literally walking away from the booth, and the whole back wall fell down. Our neighbors bumped it or did something. And it was all Kevin's stuff, which is worse because he had his original oil paintings, and the one of Furiosa actually got damaged, which sucks. And anyway, now we're here trying to fix up what's left over.
Aw, weird sexy Chi-Chi.
Also very much not affiliated with the con or official.
Yeah.
And I also wonder if he's just sort of copying art and painting it.
I don't know.
Stopping at Target after day 2, a little bit of Force Friday still hanging on. Once again, Target superior to Toys R Us. How good. Back at home, another little, and I have mostly positive interactions. I always have mostly positive interactions. Even if someone doesn't buy, it's fun to just chat with people that I know, that I don't know, that I maybe see once a year. Sometimes sell something, sometimes not. And but every now and then I have a negative interaction or a not lovely one. And usually it's not people being nasty or mean, but being kind of clueless or socially awkward. I've talked about this sort of thing before. And I had one today, and it wasn't that bad, but it definitely got the better of me a little bit. I usually just try to cheerily shrug everything off, and I kind of did, but somebody was talking to their person in front of the booth and blah, 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 and they're like, oh my gosh, I just got to show them this because of that, and blah, blah, and I thought they were saying they were going to take a picture or something of mine to show to a friend of theirs, so they weren't really talking to me either, and then all of a sudden they were talking to me, and they're like, oh, look, on their phone, and I have Ultraman vs. Godzilla print, which is like pretty much my best all-time seller, and they're like, oh, I see, I just want to show you because you have that, and she points to the Ultraman vs. Godzilla, and I just want to say, you know, if that really happened, and she goes, sorry, if that really happened, it would look like this, and she holds up some art from somewhere else. I don't know if it was an artist or a book, or I don't know where it was from, but it was Ultraman vs. Godzilla and some other artistic rendition, and it was fine, it was nice, but that's like the rudest thing you could do, because she didn't say, oh, I also like this stuff, and let me show you some stuff I like, which still is a little bit like, why are you showing, but, you know, maybe just somebody being enthusiastic, but it was definitely the sorry that prefaced it, like, sorry, but if it happened, it would look like this. It's like, that's not cool. That's not cool. You're showing me different art of another artist of the same basic premise and telling me that theirs is better. That's pretty much the rudest thing you could do, and there's no good reason to do that. And I don't think she was being nasty. That's the thing. I don't believe she's like, haha, I'm a jerk. I think she was just like a little clueless. But it really rubbed me the wrong way. I wasn't, at that point, later on the day got better, but at that point I wasn't having a great day. And so I went, ha 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 ha, because she's laughing. And I go, ha ha ha, oh man, that's really rude. Yeah, okay, but you know, that's rude, okay. And laughed it off and said it was okay, but meant it when I said it was rude. So it was sort of the best of both worlds. Thinking we could leave it at that. And she's like, yeah, haha. And then she said something else, which I'm blanking on now. Like, yeah, I just wanted to show you that because this and that. And I think that's great art, da da da. But, you know, you're good too. You're good too. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, you know, I think you're a terrible person, but, you know. And I said it just like that. I laughed it off. Didn't want to make a thing. But, you know, it hurt my feelings. And I didn't like her very much. And I thought it was extremely rude. And there was no reason to do it. Normally, I wouldn't have done anything, but it was very satisfying to laughingly tell her that she's rude and I don't think she's a good person, because I believe that. So there's that. Now, I am home and I did finally get a box of pins that I was hoping to have for the show, and I literally had people both days, several people ask me, hey, do you have a pin of Shin Godzilla? Hey, do you have any new pins? Hey, what about, you know, pins that I knew were coming, and I do now have a box of pins. I was just looking through it. That's the main one, the Shin Godzilla, but I have some reprints of the Cubits. I got Aka Red and a few other things, a reprint of Gigan, Destroya. So I'm just going to bring this whole box tomorrow and pull out what I need. I also have this Raphael pin, which Mr. Raphael, which I've never done before, but yeah. So we had some Rudy's Can't Fail. Everybody's kind of calling it an early night. I think it's like 10 o'clock. Kevin's in his room chilling out and or sleeping, and I'm doing a few things before I can do the same. Tomorrow we got to get up extra early because of all that stuff that fell down. We kind of picked it up One of Kevin's paintings was ruined, which is terrible, but everything else got knocked over, so we got to rebuild a little, so we're going to go in a half hour earlier than we did today. And yeah, tomorrow is the big final last day. Right now, I did slightly better today than I did yesterday by like $10. So between today and yesterday, I paid for my table and a little bit extra, which maybe helped cover parking and a few other things. So tomorrow should be all profit. Yeah, tomorrow should be all profit. Day 3 Sunday, it's almost 9 o'clock. We're here a little bit early so Kevin could repair the damage from last night. Got my box of pins. We're going to Mel's once again. Hopefully it'll be a little quicker since we're a little earlier. Mel's Diner, 3rd day in a row. Medium speed service. It wasn't as long as yesterday, it wasn't as fast as Friday. The food was the best today though. And yeah, we're heading in a minute. All right, take 2. It's about 9:30. We're at the show floor. We got here early so Kevin could reset up his stuff. Had some breakfast, went, yeah, just here in plenty of time. I gotta put out a few new buttons, and I think it's gonna be good. It's very cold in here, which is nice. Keep hearing about this heat wave, but we get inside before it's hot and leave after it's too hot, and then we're inside the cold all day, so no heat wave for these fellas. Excuse me, I'm starting to get a sore throat from all the talking, and outside the crowd is not as big as it was yesterday, which is a little disappointing, but to be expected, and let's see how we do. Well, they just opened the doors, I think like 2 minutes early, so we have our table here. I wonder how many people will trip. Wow, look at that guy. Look at him go. He's breaking all the rules. Yeah, let's do it. See, these guys are doing the proper run where you kind of like keep your arm to your side. He's threatening to crack a couple skulls open. Look at him go. I wonder if they know Doctor Who's not here. Also, I started working on this yesterday as a demo sketch cover that I could potentially sell, but I just like to have one on display or that I could show people. I didn't finish it, but I did actually get that Iron Man sketch commission in between, so I guess it did its job a little bit. For y'all! It's about 1 o'clock, still Sunday obviously. 1 o'clock, I am walking outside. It's been pretty busy today. Not making money hand over fist, but a lot of activity at the booth, a lot of sales, a lot of small sales, but just a better vibe today than the whole rest of the weekend. Doing well. Kevin also, just a flurry of activity at our booth, which even if you're not selling, that's just how you want it to be. And we are selling too, so. I did a sketch cover on spec, for lack of a better term, and I did a Power Ranger cover with the Red Ranger and Goldar, and the Red Ranger actor is here, so I'm going to try to get it signed, and then maybe I will sell it as a signed sketch cover. Right now I'm going to the bathroom, and then coffee. Definitely not as crowded today outside. It's also only 79, despite there supposedly being that heat wave I told you about, that they tell me about, I should say. Going over to Starbucks. I did stop to try to go to the bathroom. I needed to use the stall. 2 of them wouldn't lock. One I know because I pushed the door open and there was someone there. Great, hi buddy, we're friends. And the other one had no toilet paper and had gross everywhere. So maybe I'll go to Starbucks.
Here is more of Artist Alley, and you can see Michael Golden and a couple other, you know, for lack of a better term, famous artists mixed in with some less famous artists. I don't want to insult anybody, but you know, known artists, maybe published artists. I'm saying that weird. But this is sort of the opposite side of what you would see when you're coming in. And up on the left there was this constructed, I guess it was the church from Walking Dead, and they had some cosplayers in there that you could take pictures with. I was unclear enough if there was money involved or what was going on, but they have, I think it's called like Bay Area Rick or something, and he's this guy that looks a lot like Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick on The Walking Dead, and I've seen him around before, but then also there was a Daryl and a Negan, both were pretty good lookalikes, and there was definitely always a line over here. So yeah, I don't know if that was for money or not, but it was a popular attraction. And like I said, everyone else in this area were artists. This is Artist Alley.
It's 1:45, more than halfway through the day. Coffee achieved, and still not got a signature from Mr. Austin St. John. I might go try to do that soon-ish, but as I said, it's been busy today, good, so I'm reluctant to leave for very long. Close to 3, got about 2 hours left. I tried once again to get a signature from Austin St. John. He has not been at his table all 3 times I went there. They made an announcement that I think was saying that he was going to be at his booth, but he was actually saying that he was going to be, going to be at a photo op. So there's that. A little after 3, so less than 2 hours, I finally went over to Austin St. John. He was there was no line, but he only does signatures personalized on comics like that. And I said, well, so that people don't resell it. And I said, well, this is like my art, you know, and people that follow me might want it. And they're like, nope, sorry, which I respect, but waste of time. Once again, a lot of people out here doing the cosplay thing, which I really like. There's this big area. It's not messing with traffic inside the con or anything. And it's like people know to kind of come out here. There's a few that happen in the con, but it's much better that it's like a big open area. And even after the con, as I said before, then people could still hang out and take pictures. It's not like it's over, you know? And then there's upstairs, which I still don't really know what's up there. 30 minutes left. It is definitely slowed down. You could tell the excitement is waning all over. There's still people walking around. I don't know if the convention's going on no longer upstairs. I just realized that it might be all over today at 5. And a lot of people have left, a lot of celebrities have left, so good. Kevin just sold the Golden Girls print. There's some sort of Star Wars congregation over here. I don't have a good angle. But look, more are joining the fray. There was some sort of Star Wars signal went out. The announcers here are very loud. 9 minutes to go. Definitely counting down the minutes at this point. There's a lot of cosplayers. There's some sort of gentleman Ninja Turtle gangsters. And I'm tired.
This palette setup is similar to what we had coming in, and last year we had a problem, but this year they said it was, you know, one trip was included in the price, but only in. So we have no palette out, we have no hand cart, and it was unclear how much it was going to cost to do it. 100, 200, we also hadn't made arrangements to do it because it was very unclear, and I know we weren't.
It's about 5:40 and we're almost done packing up, which means, once again, it takes about a half hour to take down what took close to 3 hours to put up. But the convention center is weird, and I'll get into it later.
Here is the Power Rangers cover I did, which I do have for sale. I'll put the link below if anybody's interested. And what you're going to see next is this weird scene I walked into the lobby area that I did not know was going on. So this silent crowd where somebody would just call it a number or a name and they would raise their hands. Apparently these were all volunteers / workers that wanted to get paid, and it was this bizarre way they were doing it that I've never seen. But what leads next is Kevin and I taking trips, bringing everything we brought out to the car by hand.
This is gonna suck. I just took my first trip, which was probably 20 minutes at least, maybe more. Here goes Kevin on his first trip. Luckily, I was able to move the car. We were at Y, which is as far as you can get. I moved it, I'm sorry, we were at B. Now we're at Y, which is as close as you can get. Still gonna walk a block or two and go upstairs, but hopefully better. And I'm drenched in sweat. I don't know what I was thinking. I had this floor to lie on. And now I'll sit here and lie to you. Not to lay on, I suppose. I don't know. That lighting is crazy. Or am I really that red? I don't know, the day this weekend. Yeah. Oh my god, this is terrible. I've only taken 2 trips. My arms are killing me. Not like, oh, I've been working out, but like I'm damaging my body. But I did just move it about 12 spots closer. And maybe then my arms won't be destroyed. The dwindling pile. We had guessed 10 trips each. Kevin said he'd be happy with 8. I think I might have got mine down to 5. I've done 2. This is his second, but honestly, 3 more might kill me. That was trip 3, and that was probably smart. I took the Standy and my Copics, so while big, they were light. Heading back. That was trip number 4 down. That was heavy. I don't know if it was the heaviest, but it felt the heaviest, but it's probably because my arms were killing me. While I was waiting for Kevin, I talked to a comic book retailer across from us who said he did better than expected. And when I talked about the union stuff and all the crazy rules, he blamed the show organizers. Then when I was going to the car, when I was loading up the car, I talked to a couple gentlemen I met before at another show, I think. But they run the photo booths, and it was actually the guy who took my picture with Peter Capaldi. Nice guy, and I told him I enjoyed his work. And he was saying that while he made money, he did way less than he thought he would. And he was saying how even Peter Capaldi did not have a huge draw. And I said, well, I was online for like an hour and something. He said, yeah, that's because he's a nice guy and he takes his time with everybody. but it should have been way more. And they said it's the union. So some people say that the union people blame the organizers blame the union. Supposedly it's about being in San Francisco, not because this is a different building than it was last year. So it's not about the Mosqueon Center or about the Hilton, it's about being San Francisco. So I might just be done with San Francisco shows because of all the stupid rules. All right, trip 5, not too bad. I just brought 2 cube boxes. 3 is when it starts to get heavy, and I was gonna bring Kevin's, which is heavier than mine, with it. And I could have done it, but it would have killed me like the others. But he has 2 things left, so I'll let him take one up, and then last trip will both go up. That'll be my 6th trip, but it will be the end. On the way out, I spoke to a very famous artist, one of the most famous artists there are. I won't name him in case he doesn't want to be named. And I was feeling brazen, so I walked up to, well, we were walking alongside each other is what it was, and I said, excuse me, do you mind if I ask you something? He said, sure. And I said, did you do this show last year? He said, yeah. I said, well, I did both years, and you know, I'm not a big name artist like you, but last year I did very well, and this year I did terrible, and I'm wondering if you noticed a similar drop-off relative to your success. And he said, no, you know, seems about normal, whatever. I was taking a photo, that was weird. I said, oh, okay, well, you know, I was just curious, you know, if it was just me or whatever. He said, well, let me ask you, where were you relative to where you were last year? I said, well, you know, it's a different building, but I was in Artist Alley last year, and this year I did an exhibitor booth because I did so well last year, I figured upgrade. And he's like, well, you know, and to be clear, he has an exhibitor booth. He has like 4 of them, but he's probably comped them, you know, or maybe not, gets a discount, who knows what. But, you know, he's also the person who I will not name, and has different rules apply for such reasons. And he's like, well, you know, that might be a mistake. Sometimes an upgrade isn't helpful. You know, people like Artist Alley. They have sympathy for people in Artist Alley. They get commissions in Artist Alley. Now, I get a few commissions, you know, at this booth, but he was saying, you know, several other artists that he mentioned who are not as famous as he, but more famous than I, they're like, they still do Artist Alley, and, you know, upgrading isn't always a good thing. And he's right. Now, Artist Alley was sold out, so I didn't have a choice, but I wasn't like, oh God, what am I gonna do? I thought, great, you know, I did well, I'll upgrade it, it'll be even better, you know? And it wasn't, as we've seen. But I appreciate the advice. I said, thank you very much. And I also enjoy your artwork very much. And he said, thanks, you know, and so it was good. And now Kevin is taking the last solo trip. We got these 2, not too terrible boxes. We're gonna carry it together, drive home, hopefully have no traffic, and eat some kind of amazing dinner because, yeah, this whole weekend, got to see my buddy, got to see some cool people while I was here. I got a picture with Capaldi, but dealing with the bureaucracy is terrible. I'm physically exhausted, and monetarily was not worth doing. Kev, we gotta get up and go now.
Okay.
We gotta get up and go now. Look at the camera. Look at the camera.
Yeah.
Look at the camera.
I don't know.
He's looking at that camera. I'll switch to that angle in a minute. Dynamic. So here I am back at home editing the video. It's all been said and done, and what are my thoughts? Well, I'm not doing it next year. If I did, I would do an Artist Alley table, and I guess I'll never say never, but 99% not doing it. This year was the 2nd year, last year was the 1st year. I had trouble last year. I didn't like the way it was run. I didn't like the weird union rules in the city that, you know, hurt small, very small business, a business of one, unnecessarily, and the shifting of the blame and the odd wording and the way they do things, and just, it felt like it was a poorly run show, but not because of incompetence, but because of penny pinching. There was no carpets on the floor, for example, because of penny pinching and trying to, it felt very much like they were trying to get away with something. Maybe they weren't. This is my point of view. I'm not trying to slander anybody. This is just how I feel. And that's how I felt last time. And early on, I was like, I'm not doing this show next year. This was last year. But I made a lot of money. And I said, well, I guess it's worth putting up with the bad part because the good part is so good. So I went back and I split the booth, and my buddy came up and I told him, yeah, man, I did great, come on up. So I feel terrible because I made him come up, and he also did not do well. By the end of the weekend, my understanding is that he didn't lose much money. He made table. I don't even know if it covered his travel expenses, but, you know, Saturday, he thought he was going to lose a bunch of money. And I think he about broke even at best. I made a bit of money. Sunday was mostly profit, but you know, I had said early on, if I do half as well as I did last year, it'll cover the booth and still be worth doing. And I didn't even do a quarter. I didn't even do a quarter of as well as I did last year. Now, I don't know if that's because I was at an exhibitor booth. I don't know if that's because there was more competition. I don't know if because it's a second year show, there's less excitement. I also don't know if it's because the ticket prices were pretty high. I also don't know if it's because there was, I think, Dragon Con the same weekend, which is not nearby, but it's a big one. There's also a Sacramento Comic Con the same day, which I kind of wish I did instead. I have a habit of picking the wrong show. You know, I don't know what the reasons are. There's, you know, there's multiple reasons. And a lot of the sales I had were with repeat customers. I would say half the sales I had were with people that I had met at a show before or somehow knew my work and knew me, which I appreciate. I love when people come back just to chat, to buy something even better, but you know, it's good to see people, and that's part of the positive. But it's also like, well, if half the people that I'm seeing already know who I am and are already aware of me, then like, you know, a big part of the reason you do a show is to meet new people and get the word out there. And while it's fun to see returning friends, clients, fans, whatever you want to call them, there should always be more new people than old people, ideally. I mean, I don't know. What I'm getting at is I didn't make a lot of money. I made more than Kevin. I made table and made a bit of money and blew most of it on my Capaldi picture, which was sort of originally I thought if I do well enough, I'll treat myself to that. But I did badly enough that it was like a sympathy gift to myself to make it worth being there. And like I said, I don't think I'll go back because I had to deal with all the same stupidity that I dealt with last year, but didn't make any money and dragged my friend along with me. So I felt bad about that. So as a fan, I'm not sure. It seemed like people were having a good time. But I don't know. I mean, I had a good time getting my picture with Peter Capaldi, so if that's any indication, once again, go as a fan. And I don't know how well the retailers do. The one comic retailer I talked to said he did very well, better than expected, so maybe it's just art. And also, you know, I've long suspected that there is a bubble with these shows that's going to burst, if it hasn't already, because it used to be there'd be one big show a year and maybe you had a little local show, and now there's several big shows a year, local to me. Every single weekend there's small shows, and it seems like more and more there are competing shows in the same weekend. More and more there are new shows popping up. Some do well, some don't. Some get big guests, some don't. You know, some get advertised properly and get attendance, some don't. And sometimes it's hard to know which. So, and you can't even follow a track record because, again, last year was amazing. This year wasn't. Why? I don't know. One of the other things is they had a lot of volunteers / paid people who had never done it before, who had never run a con, but some of them have never been to a con. Pleasant enough people, you know, I don't have a problem with them personally, but I was talking to them, they're like, yeah, I've never been to a convention before. I'm like, a comic convention, any convention. Oh, you've never worked one? I've never been to one. And they're working it. That's a bad system. They don't even understand how a show runs from a fan point of view, and they're part of the staff. And like I said, most of the staff I interacted with were pleasant and polite, but it seems like the higher-ups were running things oddly and weren't giving answers, weren't very forthcoming. And again, the wording, you know, with a lot of things, like we got smaller tables, we got smaller booths, we got a free trip in, but not a free trip out. So then if we didn't need a free trip in, we paid extra money for nothing. And if we do need a trip in, then obviously we need a trip out, but they don't make that clear. Whatever. The point is, not a fan of this convention. Supposedly it's because it's San Francisco, so I might just be done with San Francisco, unfortunately. Unless something changes or something crazy happens, that's it for me. I'm not saying don't go and have fun, but I am saying if you're an artist, think twice before you get a booth and get an artist alley table at the very least to minimize your risk. So, you know, it wasn't the worst experience. Really, the ending when I had to carry everything out, that was the worst part. And it ended on a sour note because I didn't have a miserable time the whole time I was there. Just money-wise, it didn't work out great. I didn't lose money, but again, I thought it was going to be like my show of the year. And then having to spend, you know, hours carrying out heavy stuff by hand to the car was terrible. So sorry to end it on such a bummer note. Here, look, here's a Ranger key. This is Shinken Green. Oh, how about this? Daredevil, Netflix. That's fun. I don't know how to end it. I don't know how to end it happy, but I'm gonna end it with a smile. Holy crap, I almost forgot. I was literally done with the video. That Pickle Rick drawing I did it in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And it was on a piece of paper that I was testing Copic colors on, so it's like on the drawing, and then the back had scribble all over it. somebody came by and bought it. They're like, is that for sale? I'm like, well, I wasn't really selling it, you know. And they're like, well, how much? And I'm like, make me an offer. And they're like, well, I don't want to, you know, I don't know what to offer. I'm like, you won't insult me if it's low, just make me an offer. And they're like, well, I would go low then. 15? I'm like, sold. And they're like, 20? I'm like, 15's fine, because they bid against themselves. And then they gave me 20 anyway. They're like, here you go, thanks. And it was a guy buying it, I think, for his daughter, so it was very nice of him, and hopefully she likes it. But once again, the subject trumps the technique and skill of the artist a lot of the time. And this is a perfect example where I was like, Pickle Rick, and somebody offered me money for it. But me, also, I had a Rick and Morty like inked picture for 15 bucks that was more well done, but it was just the two of them in their normal mode. But Pickle Rick is what was popular, so somebody bought it. I'm not upset with them for buying it. I'm happy to take their money. I hope they enjoyed the art. But it just kind of proves my point that Pickle Rick is more valuable than, hold on, wait 20 hours. The Horror, no thank you. The Horror is my character, of course. For those that don't know, the Horror A4, you can find my book link below. I'm really going now. Okay, goodbye.